Vijay Shankar, a renowned cyber law expert, on Bitcoin and whether it requires regulation and so on. Vijay, many thanks for joining us on Bloomberg. My first question to you is the point that Alan Greenspan made. It's an interesting idea. People are taking to it in different parts of the world. The concern has been the lack of regulation, and people really don't know the rules of the game. How do you see it?
See, ultimately, the success of any currency is in acceptability. If more number of people accept a particular standard and are willing to exchange goods and services, that stands as a currency. So that is why in economies where the country's say governance is weak, people would rather try to hold their assets in foreign currencies than in domestic currencies. So that is given. That is, the people want a system of exchange of a system which helps them in exchange of services. Now, right now, Bitcoin is a very innovative concept where people come together in a peer-to-peer network and agree on a certain standard and say, this is what we will recognize as a payment system. So therefore, the question of regulation is when there is an interference of this digital currency and its operations in the digital world with the physical world. If there is no interaction between the two, I feel there is no need for any regulation at all.
Right.
So the question which has to be addressed now is Bitcoin a pure digital currency or is it a multi-society currency?
Right. Vijay, I take your point. I understand that this is a digital currency at this point in time, and acceptability so far is small, and therefore it may not be under the regulator's ambit, as it were. But the question, therefore, I understand some people are using Bitcoins for remittances. The logical question that are being asked is how different is this from a Hawala transaction, which is not under the purview of the law? Are these questions being asked right now?
Yeah. Yeah. See, Bitcoin per se is an electronic document. And in India, we have by law recognized electronic documents. Therefore, I say that Bitcoin as a document has already got legal validity. The clash is whether Bitcoin clashes with the concept of notes issued by the central bank. See, notes issued by central bank normally is in the nature of a promissory note, whereas Bitcoin is no such promissory note. Therefore, there is no issue as far as the recognition of Bitcoin is concerned. Now, when a Bitcoin is used, if an Indian buys or sells a Bitcoin from another Indian, then there is absolutely no worry about the legality of the transaction because it is like an asset transfer. But when money is exchanged across the borders, like somebody sells a Bitcoin to an outsider and receives money in dollars or vice versa, then this becomes more or less like an import-export regulations, and then the foreign exchange regulations come into play.
Sure.
Therefore, it is possible that Bitcoin is legal as long as it is used by two Indian residents or citizens in Indian currencies, but there is a difficulty when it is exchanged for a foreign currency.
Sure.
Sure. You know, you were
talking... That is where it may become easy, like Hawala, for transfer of funds from India to abroad and vice versa.
Sir, you know, you were talking about regulations earlier. The US Senate, in fact, did take a look at this entire, you know, hype, if you can call it that, surrounding Bitcoins. It said it sees nothing wrong in that. But that said, it will continue debating the use of Bitcoins. Now, if there is a regulation in India, do you think, you know, there's a possibility it could possibly go in favor of Bitcoins?
See, it depends on how the Reserve Bank of India looks at this new concept. It's an innovative concept, it's a technology-related issue, and we have always seen that, we have had two important, precedences. I am reminded of the IPv4 IP address distribution which happened several years back, when India did not think internet was an important resource and they never claimed the number of IPv4 addresses as was required by our economy, and therefore we had to suffer in terms of development of the internet. So when Bitcoin is now developing itself as a currency, and there are more number of crypto coins which are coming into the field. If regulators in India hold a very conservative view and say, no, we will not accept this, then we will be missing the bus.
Sure.
And today, we are looking at other economies, including China, which is appearing to be embracing this system so much that over a period of time, India will lose its competitiveness in the e-commerce market, which is going to perhaps drive the next digital revolution. So I feel RBI should be open. Now, whether they will be open or not, that is a difficult question to answer. But I feel they should actually consider Bitcoin with something like a system which can be recognized without much of a problem as far as the system is concerned, as long as they regulate the transferability of Bitcoin from Indian rupees asset to a foreign rupee asset, foreign currency asset.